Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at another one of our regular webinars. Today, we will be talking about a handful of, well, the best free Revit tools from the CTC product line. And we will be going through a handful of various suites and apps within those suites to kind of briefly show you guys what the best of the freebies are. So, one thing that we can all appreciate in life is things that come to us that are free, whether it's, something at the grocery store, you buy one, get one free, or, you find a way to get a deal on something, you get your coupon that, at Target, you buy something, you get a free $5 gift card to go along with it or something along those lines, right? That's great. We all love that stuff. Unfortunately, as we know, that free doesn't always translate to good stuff or great stuff or even okay for that matter. So hopefully in this webinar, you will see, and I'll be able to show you guys what the best tools we have are that are free. And hopefully you will agree with me and take advantage of some of these free tools in your projects and with your content. So today, we're going to cover kind of three areas. The first one is showing you tools that are geared towards everyday kind of productivity, something that all your users can benefit from. The second part will be some of the tools that kind of help with content and project management, keeping things clean, nice and neat, whether it's upon receipt of models or prior to distribution. And then we're going to cover some of the additional key features, how they're intended to be used, and then finally, not listed here, but where can you get these apps? Where can you get your hands on some of these free tools and take advantage of them? So the first suite that we are going to look at is the BIM Project Suite, and there are three specific tools in this suite that I want to talk about today. It's Quick Select, Renumbering, and View Aligner. Quick Select has been around for a while, but it got a facelift this last year. So, and basically what Quick Select is, if you remember AutoCAD, you had a Quick Select feature we could go through and quickly input some criteria, get a selection of items. That's exactly what it is here for Revit. And then we can actually build upon that, save those settings, and use them on other projects. Our renumbering tool has also gotten a little bit of a facelift or some enhancements in the last year, but it basically allows you to renumber your rooms or areas and spaces. It allows you to renumber your doors so that they match the room that they're opening into or opening from. We can also renumber all your detail views on sheets, or views on sheets, I should say, the detail number. And then you can renumber just about anything in Revit that has the mark value, right? And finally, we have View Aligner. This is a relatively new tool for us, and this helps you align views on a sheet. So if you're just dragging and dropping the views onto a sheet, you want to get those to look nice and neat. Sometimes people put grid layouts there so they can position things, but you really, it's all very manual process. This tool helps you speed that process up. From our BIM Manager suite, we've got two apps here, Family Preview Manager and Project Cleaner. Family Preview Manager is another relatively new app of ours, and this will help you generate the preview image that you see in your thumbnails for your content. Instead of, making sure it's oriented to the appropriate view with the certain settings applied so you can do your save as and then never change it, we can use an app to help you speed that process up and then do them in a batch process. Project Cleaner is exactly what it says. It cleans your project. And we typically do this on files prior to distribution to our consultants or as we are receiving them from our consultants. Things like schedules, views, sheets, certain things like that. So, and the last suite we're going to touch on, that's not the Manager suite, it's our BIM Batch suite. And we are hitting the Family Exporter and the Family Loader. Family Exporter exports content from your projects into an organized structure in case you need to quickly get those loaded into another project, or in Family Loader, which then helps you load or reload families into projects in mass. So those are the 7 apps we're going to touch on today. And without further ado, we are just going to jump right into the application and start showing you this stuff. There's no point in killing you with PowerPoints. I'm done now. So for the first app that we're going to touch on is the Quick Select. So that is found in our BIM Project Suite. And I'm just going to pull this down so it's easier to see everything. And when trying to decipher some of these tools, there's a difference between the colors of the icons, and this applies to everything. Our light green apps are the free, or the light colored apps, I should say. In this case, they're green, are the free apps. When you install this, they're good for the rest, for as long as you have it installed, right? They will always work. The dark green ones are the paid tools or the licensed tools. They will work for the duration of the trial, but beyond that, that's about it. So with Quick Select, I'm going to start this up here. And for those of you that have seen it in the past, we've got a whole nother area here to focus on that will help you really visualize the selection sets that you're putting together and how to kind of manage and control that as you continue on and using them. So to keep it simple, in Revit, you can always come back here, grab something, select all instances, or you can select the whole file or the whole view and filter by category. Well, here I can apply the selection criteria either to my entire project, to the active view, or to an already selected series of items. In this case, I'll do it to the whole project. I can pick any category that's available in Revit, right? So let's say I want to do just good old walls for starters, not sweeps, just walls. And then take it an extra step further and pick a parameter that I want to filter by. Whether it's the wall thickness or the function, or maybe you have a type mark on it, or you have a fire rating on it, or a specific comment, right? Like we have many, many different ways to go through and set this up. And maybe you want to do, so let's start with fire rating, this one, right? And then I can set up a various operators, whether it's equals or contains or begins with, ends with, does not contain, something along those lines. And then pick your value, right? 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 0, smoke, whatever you've input here, right? So I'm going to say 1 hour. And then we've got selection set updating options. Do I want to add those to a set? Do I want to remove them from a set? Or update it and replace what I had there with what I'm doing now? In this case, I've got nothing. So I'm just going to hit add. So I'm going to set update. And it adds its first grouping over here on the left. And then it tells me how many items have been selected. And I can start expanding this and finding out what is available. Okay. Well, maybe I want to add to this. I want to parse this list down further, right? Maybe I don't need to know that for whatever reason my tile walls are rated, right? So let's add another piece to this, okay? So now I want to go ahead and just start changing stuff. So maybe it's still part of the walls category. And then maybe I want to filter by type name or type mark, or anything type related. And maybe this case, I'll say contains type D. And, I don't, well, let's do this. Since I said I don't care about the tile, right? I can say contains tile and say remove from the selection set. Hit update. And if I had input the right set of parameters here, it would have yanked that. So what I'm going to do is change it to type. It didn't update it at any. So hold on a second here. I'm just going to do it this way because it's easier. And I can grab the right wall, equals type, remove it. So when I hit update, it removes it, right? And that's the whole point, and then I have two different criteria listed here. So as I can keep going and keep parsing this list down until I get what I'm looking for, or maybe now I have what I'm looking for, right? And maybe I want to apply this to multiple projects in the future, right? So this is a setting I'm always wanting to know what my 1 hour rated walls are. And I don't, as far as my interior partitions go, I can save this. And I can save this. It comes out as its own quick select settings file that can then be loaded into other projects that I have down the road. And since I didn't save it, it barked at me, but that's okay. Well, maybe I want to start over. I can just hit new. And if I had any, and I can just go ahead and apply filters. So again, to the entire project, I've got filters in the project already set. I can use a filter real quick and select those particular items, right? Like maybe I want to get all of my type D walls. And it went through the project and found just those type of walls, right? Or maybe I want to do another one, give me my type Bs, add those too, right? So now I've got just those specific wall types in my selection set. Makes it easier to find. Now I can go through and change something about those. Like maybe they need a specific comment, right? Or I want to, maybe we're changing ceiling heights or something like that, and I need to go through in here and start working with different offsets, or I use fab sheets, so I've got sequence values in here. Maybe I need to attach a sequence to these, right? I can go ahead and start manipulating data like that. You could also then take that selection if you want and save that as a selection inside of Revit to use moving forward with other apps or with other scenarios. So, and that's really what you get with Quick Select at this point. If you did have settings that you had been saving, you can go ahead and load those in. And I've got a couple saved back here, I believe. Yep. So I can grab this. Oh, I broke my settings. Anyway, that's what I get for doing support on my demo sets. But basically, it grabs every single room in the model, right? And now I can go ahead and apply additional settings to parse that down even further, right? Maybe I want to go ahead and add another one where the room name, which is here, contains office, and remove those from my set. So I can update those. All of the rooms that had office in there, they're gone now. They're no longer a part of this set. And I can go ahead and do a save, update my settings, and continue on. And continue on using those later on down the road. Okay. So it's just a nice, quick way to go about doing things. I've been using my plan views. You don't have to. If it helps you, you can use it anywhere, really, obviously, and apply the settings to whatever you want to use. Go back to my floor plan. The next app that we have is our renumbering app. So I'm going to go quickly annotate my rooms here quick, since I don't have room tags in this view. I'm not going to waste any time finding the view that has it. I'm just going to go ahead and add a few. So right now, things are fairly well lined up, but not always. And I kind of want to mix it up a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and use renumbering to renumber some of the rooms in my project. You know, especially when you're starting out, you're not really paying attention to the order in which you're placing your rooms. You're just going to run around, dump the rooms in. We need to update that after the fact, right? So I have a few items here that are so far so good, but I don't like this 102A, B. I want to rearrange the order of some of these. So I'm going to go ahead and renumber rooms. I'm going to start my sequence with 100 and do auto swap. Depending on the project, you may need to insert a prefix to some of these, like maybe in a lot of healthcare projects or larger buildings, the lower level rooms start with L, right? L dash or L dot, right? You can go ahead and insert that or LL and then put a separator of a dash or a dot. And then your rooms, when you tag them on the or relabel them on the lower level, will show that. Some need a suffix, right? In addition to the A, B, C, D, we can insert that information in here as well. So I'm going to start by doing just the basics, and I'm going to hit renumber, and then I'm going to, in the order in which they need to be labeled, I'm going to click on my rooms. So if they are already labeled correctly, that's fine. I still need to do those since I started at 100. We'll do 100, 101, 102. It updated here, 103. And then I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go this way, 104, 105, 6, 7. That's fine. 8, and so on, you know, and then you just keep going. And then maybe I'll zigzag and come back. 10, 11. Don't fault me. We would never organize in this fashion. I'm just doing it anyway. So, but you see what I'm doing. All right. So at this point, I'm going to stop because you don't need me to watch me rename everything. So now, but I've screwed it up a little bit. So now that some of my doors don't match, right? So now I need to update my doors. So I'm going to go to the door tab, and we have a couple of options for labeling your doors. You can either customize them yourself and pick your own order and define your own sequence, or you can do what a lot of people do and have them be room-based. I want my door numbers to match my room numbers. We can do that with room-based numbering, and we can have the door pick up the room that it's opening into or opening from, right? In a lot of cases, we use the 2-room option. So in this case, I want this door tag 117 to match this room number of 110. So I want the 2-room definition here. And again, if we need additional prefix formatting or separators or suffixes, we can customize that and let the tool label that for us. And then we're going to auto swap so I don't have conflicts. And this one, I don't have to do an order because I have selected the room-based option. Had I done a sequenced option, I would have to click in order in which they need to be labeled. But in this case, I'm just matching rooms. So I can grab this, and it goes 110 to 110. This is 109. We have 109, right? I also have a lounge down here, needs a 104. This now opens into the training room and now has a 109B, and this one automatically renamed itself to be 109A. So now both the tools or both the doors are clearly part of training room 2 in this case. But jumping out of the mix, out of order a little bit here, I can just go ahead and start clicking on doors in any particular order. It does not matter. As long as the room is labeled the way you need it to be, you can go ahead and number your doors or number your doors however you need them to. Okay. So, and for the most part, that's the app, right? We have the ability to do rooms, new features of being able to relabel your areas and spaces Those were requested by our customer base. So we added those two in this last couple of releases. We can do grids. So if you just, again, willy-nilly placed your grids, we can go ahead and do that. And if you end up with more than 24 grids and you need to go ahead and continue on your sequence to the AA or AB or AC, we have the ability to do that now, and we have some formatting options to maintain how grids are labeled for your sequencing. Detail numbers. So on sheets, if I go to a detail sheet real quick, and see, let's try this one. Great, I got one detail. Perfect. Try this one. There we go. We got a few here. Now, depending on the order in which you want these to be viewed, is the order in which you click on them. So in this case, I'm going to start my sequence with 1 and auto swap the detail number. And when I click renumber, I'm going to start with bottom right and go left and up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. And you can see that as I'm going, they're just changing, not getting any errors, and it's just working as I intended it to. Now, whatever your standard method is for organizing your details and labeling them, that's the order in which you will click your view. So if you wanted to start top left and work your way to the right, then down, do so. No big deal. If you picked that the first time and then you decided, oh, wait, they want me to do it the other way, just run it again and click the views in the order in which they need to be labeled. And then last but not least is the general tab. This allows me to renumber anything in the model that has a mark value parameter, which is just about everything. So if you wanted to redo, number furniture, you can do so. If you wanted to do that to plumbing fixtures, you can do so. Air terminals, go for it, right? As long as it has that mark parameter listed and you're able to use that for sequencing in a sense, go for it. No big deal. So that's the renumbering app. Next, we're going to go with View Aligner, and that'll be the last one that we're covering from the project suite at the moment. And this tool is, again, relatively new. And what it's going to allow me to do is align views on a sheet. So we have currently 7 alignment options where we can align by the top edge, the middle, the bottom, left, center, or right. So depending on how you've laid your views out on the sheet will be how you can go ahead and align things. So let's say I've positioned this one here in the corner, and that's where it needs to be. Now I want my other 2 views here to be aligned nice and neat with this. So I can hit align left, pick the view that's good, and then pick the other 2 views that need to scoot on over, right? And they're aligned to the left edge of the view itself, okay? Now, let's say I want to take, well, let's do this. I got an idea. Oops, I wasn't out of the command yet. Went too far. So I want to take this view, but instead of it being down here, I want to bring it up top. So I have the ability to align by levels or by bottom edge, top edge. But if I wanted to do by level, I can do that by grabbing this view and then grab this view. And it's going to automatically for me align based on level 1, right? So even if level 1 wasn't present in this view, it still would have aligned it based off that level, right? And now I notice my view titles are a little off, but I can clean those up myself. So get that pulled up. Now we're good to go. And now I've got this view. I want to scoot this over to the left side again. I can do that by grabbing this, and now those are aligned left justified for me, okay? And then again, I want to make sure that levels stay within alignment across the board. and now those are set too tall, so maybe I should pull those somewhere else. But it's a good way to find out, based off the original placement of some of the views, if you've got things going in the right order. So, do by level again, get that. Oh, it's not going to fit. That one will. So I'm going to pull this one out of the way, bring this one back. That's now in position, and then I'll do left on this one. Align by level there, there, and there. And you start to get the idea. So you can use this to, hopefully align your views accordingly, right? Another thing that you can do with this app is you can align plan views in accordance with each other. So let's say I go main floor plan, second floor plan, and third floor plan. So you got to have them open to do this. But let's say I pull this over here, and we'll bring this one over here, and level 1 is in the right spot. So I am going to go ahead and take left edge, grab the floor plan here, and then switch to the second one and grab the next floor plan. I now have my left edge alignment in place. Go to the third floor, grab that. I now have left edge in the same spot. Okay, we'll escape, go back to the first floor plan sheet, and this time I'm going to do align bottom. Grab the bottom, grab the view, second floor, down, third floor, down, or up in this case. So now, based off the views extents, and if the views are attached to scope boxes like they should be, everything now is lining up so that when I do go back through my printed sheets and do a page turn, these 3 views should be in the same spot. Now, it won't look like it is if my zooming is all over the map here, which it sort of is, but now this one has, those 2 are showing an extra section. So, I need to get rid of him. And if I update this again, left there to there. Now, when I go flip between the 3 sheets, oh, I didn't update that one either, did I? There we go. Now I've got the floor plan in the same spot. So as we do our actual page turn, I don't have things jumping all over the place. And that's the idea, right? That's what we like to see when we're doing our sheet setups. So we can now accomplish that with our nice free tool in View Aligner. All right. Those are the first 3 from the project suite. We're now going to change gears here and jump into the manager suite. I'm going to pull this out so we can see the tools. As I mentioned earlier, lighter color apps are free, darker ones are licensed or paid. So in here, I'm going to start by covering Project Cleaner first. So what this tool offers us is the ability to clean up a model quickly prior to sending it to our consultants or as we receive it from our consultants. We don't always want to link in these nice heavy bloated files that has a bunch of stuff in it that we don't really care about, right? Same thing, your consultants don't want that either, right? So if we can clean them up a little bit, great. There may be some things that you don't want to send to them either. So this is a perfect opportunity for us to clean up files prior to linking them into our current projects and overloading things or sending them out. In this case, I'm going to prep my model for distribution, and I can go ahead and get rid of some area plans and the details and my renderings and maybe the wall sections, and then I can nickel and dime it onto a lot of these other views here. So I don't need, they probably don't need all these 3D views. If they really want one, they can make one. Ceiling plans, same thing. There's a bunch in here they probably don't need. And there's probably a bunch that they will need, right? So it's entirely up to you how you want to set it up for them, obviously. So as I'm going through this list, I'm just going to check a bunch of boxes here and say, good, we'll start with that. Floor plans, same thing. A bunch here that is unnecessary. And maybe it's easier just to say, leave these couple alone, just in case they need it for additional coordination. And we'll stop there. Same thing with all of the other views. And maybe, well, we've only got 2, so we'll just leave them alone. Schedules, don't need them to have schedules. Then we can move on. View templates. I'm just going to blow away all the view templates. Again, I'm sending it off. Filters, sure, we don't need these either. Same with the sheets. Linked models, another big one. Don't necessarily need these either. So get rid of all them. Imports, and if there's any nested images, everything's here, right? And then when I hit remove, it's going to remove that. Now, and if you're constantly finding yourself doing this, you can save this setup and use it each and every time you get that model from the consultant, or each time you're about to send this off to another consultant. We can save that, load those settings in, and away we go. So as you go ahead and do this, we're probably going to orphan a ton of objects when I hit remove. So we do have a nice little link to the purge command so that you can click this button. It'll open up the purge dialog box for you. You can clear out a bunch of the rest of the settings that you need. So I use this every single time I link a consultant model in. I don't need their links. I don't need their imports. I don't need, 85% of the views that they have in there. I don't need them, right? So let's get rid of them. Let's try to lighten the load on our projects as much as possible. So that's traditionally where I've used this app, is for stuff that I don't need in my links. All right, another quick tool that I want to highlight here is another relatively new one, Family Preview Manager. And it is what you think it is. It creates preview images for families. So there's a couple of different ways to go about doing this. One is the active family. So assuming you had a family open at the moment, we can update the preview image for that family. Otherwise, the meat and potatoes behind this app is to be able to do this in batch. So that's the default. And we have the ability to set up various templates to assign to certain types of objects, whether it's by category and by hosting type. So if you've got all of your face-based objects you want to show as an elevated item, or all your wall-hosted items should be elevated, so doors and windows and any other, opening, maybe there's wall-hosted cabinets that need to be elevated. We could set up a template that will adjust those in that fashion. So by going to options is where you get the ability to control those appearance settings. So first off, right on the front end, we have the ability to customize what the preview name is going to be of the view generated in the family. So whether it's CTC preview, or you throw your company initials in there and you do it like, say, BKV preview, right? Or HDR preview, or whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Or just content preview. Everything works. Or you can leave it alone. But here's all the settings that you have to control. So make it the active view. You want to enable preview visibility. That's almost a given, so that whatever the current type is defined as, that's what you see, not everything else. But do you want dimensions or reference planes and lines, the levels, any other note or label visibility? Do you want to show the host? So you have a bunch of things that you can control visibly, just like if you were inside of visibility graphics of the family, right? But where the real customization and the family appearance settings are back here on the appearance tab. So we have the ability for you to set up 2 different areas. The default appearance, right? So maybe 99% of your families need to you want them to be a certain way. So that's the default up here. So you pick your viewing angle. This is almost like looking at the view cube and clicking one of the little faces or edges on the cube. Your visual style or display style, wireframe through, realistic with edges. Your detail levels, the unit, right? So depending on the units, you may want to adjust the scales accordingly, right? So we give you imperial and metric options. And then the actual scale of the view itself. Now, here's where you may want to tweak things a little bit depending on your personal preference between the scale and what the rendered or the rendered output is to be, right? So you may find that you need to tweak this a couple of different times until it's nice and crisp and nothing's fuzzy. So and this will apply to everything that you run through here that does not have a template. If you want to build a template for your certain items, you can certainly do so over here under appearance templates. I've got one right now for my openings, right? Where I've got a specific setup that I've got. In this case, I messed with it last time, and it's going to do a floor plan view. And I don't want that this time. I'm going to switch that to my front elevation. I want this to be consistent colors because I don't always have the right renderable material applied. Detail level will be fine. And my view scale and units I'm good with those right there. All right, so now anything that's an opening, a door, a window, I would want to put on this. So a wall hosted item potentially. But if there's anything else in here that you want to include, go find it, right? So in this case, I have other possibilities here for doors. I can have roof hatches. I could have ceiling-based ones, but those aren't going to look very good in an elevation, so that's why they're not included, right? But if these same, I didn't have to call it openings. I could have called it wall-hosted items, and then anything that's a wall-hosted item could be here, and maybe that's the way to do it. Wall-hosted, and now I can go through and grab my generic models that have a wall host and add that to this category, and then go back up to furniture. Maybe there's a wall-hosted piece of furniture for some reason. Sure, let's add that, right? Light fixtures and mechanical equipment, and think about it. It could be everything if you wanted it to, right? So now that's my default setup. If I want to create a new one, and let's call it, I'm just going to call it casework. Why not? Again, but this time I want a 3D view. I don't want an elevated view. So I'm going to do 3D front top, again with consistent colors. I think I want to change the scale on this one though to get it to see what differences I get. And so now I've got a casework category here. Scroll back up to my casework set, grab that, and I'm going to grab my floor-based one, my unhosted one, and the wall one, and grab all three of those, right? That's how I build my casework. So I'm going to grab all three. And I'm good. So now if I just hit OK, my settings are saved for me only. I can save this, store it on the network, and then anyone else that's doing content management editing has the ability to load these settings in, and now we're all using the same setup, can be applied across the board. So I'm going to hit OK, and now I'm going to go add some content, right? So in this case, I have some stuff over here under Revit Families 21, and I'm just going to grab this one, and we'll just grab those, see what it does, right? So it's going to try to apply based on what I used. And, you know, actually I have another folder of content that I'm going to add in here too. So I'm going to go to my C drive and grab my doors right here. And now I've got a bunch of content stored. And I can either update the families in their current positions or save them to a new location. You know, if you want to make sure that nothing breaks when you go through this process, you can save them to a new location, make sure you're good to go prior to updating the live content, and then hit process. And it's going to run through and change everything for you. You know, so all of my doors right now have a 3D viewing angle. They're all going to get switched to be elevated. So I'm not going to hit process because I don't want to sit here and make you guys wait for the end result. But that's what it would do. It would update that and away we go. So the next tool that I want to talk about is from the BIM Batch Suite, which is over here. We have two freebies over here. We have FamilyExporter and Family Loader. I'm going to talk about both. So with FamilyExporter, this is a great way to take some or all of the content in your project and export it out to a location on your C drive or on the network. Now, this is a great tool, especially if it's a very customized project. You've got a lot of content that's being manipulated or a lot of new content made, and you know, instead of it always being saved consistently on the network when changes are made, oftentimes those changes are simply applied to the project, not to the physical family itself. So now we can export those items and update the content on the network so that now we've got the new types, or we've got the adjustments made to the content that can be used on future projects. And you've got a couple of different ways to organize this. So depending on what you're looking for, right, you can do a quick little search if you want to go by anything that has the company initials on the back end, or you know, you just want to manually go through here and pick stuff. Maybe you know for a fact my doors have changed. I know we did some custom specialty equipment families here, so I'm just going to grab those. We made a number of changes to our title blocks, and you can just grab those categories as you see fit. And we made a couple of new room tags. So there we go. I'm going to do that. Then when you export them, you can pick how you want it organized. Do I want it by category, or by category and geometry, or flip it, geometry or geometry and category? And when it says geometry, it's splitting them up into two groups, model and annotation, right? That's what it's doing. So do you want it by category then by geometry, or do you care, right? So I'm going to do both, category then geometry. I don't need a prefix or a suffix. I do need to save it to a different location. So I'm just going to go to ctemp. Content export and go. Yep. So it's just going to spit them out. And if there's any errors, it's going to let me know at the end. This is also a great way if you're having issues with some content in projects and you're getting corruption messages, right? And you're trying to figure out what that family is, but Revit's not letting you get your hands on it. You can use FamilyExporter to export all the content from your project. And if it fails on a family, it'll let you know what family specifically that was, so that you have the opportunity to go find out why that family is being a problem. And if you need to audit it, great, there we go, easy fix. Maybe it's got a bunch of warnings in it for whatever reason. It's an exploded AutoCAD object inside of a Revit family, right? We can get that cleaned up, reloaded into the project, and save ourselves from a bunch of extra warnings that we didn't know we had initially, or that we couldn't resolve with just a standard Revit audit. So this tool does have a number of different uses, not just exporting content from a project. And you know, I picked a couple extra families. I ran out of stuff to say. But yeah, so one of the things that this also will do for you is it's going to give you all the types, right? So a lot of the content that you had maybe only had a couple of types in it, but now we can compare it versus previous projects to make sure that we have the types that our teams need. So as I go through, I'm just going to quick show you guys what this output was like on the C drive here. So C temp, content export. So here's the categories that I picked. And if I had annotation and models, door items, I would get both, right? So in this case, I get exactly what I told it to do. So, but I get everything that was loaded in, which is exactly what I wanted. Now I can take the changes and I can just copy paste them out when I'm done and delete the folder so I don't have duplicates floating all over the place, taking up room. There you have it. The last app that I'm going to talk about, but certainly not the least, is Family Loader. This tool is great at helping you get content into a project. And by content, I mean lots of content. It doesn't just have to be a willy-nilly one family at a time or a folder of families at a time. It can be an entire directory. It can be the same families into multiple projects all at the same time. It really depends on what you want it to do. So I can add projects. It doesn't even have to be the current project. It can be any project in the version of Revit that I have open. So I can add many projects, if I've got them, to this list. Now, so I've got models here that I can add, right? So I've got these guys. Those are my projects. And now which families do I want to add? I can go browse to any location where my libraries are stored and specifically pick those families. Oops, I meant to pick my D drive here. And on top of this, you know, maybe in this case, I want to load in all of my mechanical families, right? So I can grab all of these and add, right? Here we go. So now I've got my list. Here's my projects. Here's my families. Now, I have some settings here. I can be specific and say, you know, if these only load the families that were already in these files. Sweet. That way I'm not bloating the projects, right? Or maybe I'm starting 5 new projects today and I need all of these families in all 5 projects. I can load all of them into all of the host files. And depending on how many families you have selected, yes, it may greatly increase the file size. But if you're starting new projects, that's expected. And then if I'm working with central models, I can say, you know what? There may be other people working on it. Let's create a new local for this work so that it can go ahead and put it in there and sync that model back to central, free everything up so that other people can continue working without me interfering. And you know, if we have the ability to suppress the overwrite dialogues and specify how we're overwriting these things. So it's one tool that should be used more that's not, because we can keep our starter projects or template files reduced in file size and then tailor it to the project type that we have coming up, right? If I've got, you know, we do a bunch of different types of projects and, you know, certain families and certain pieces of equipment get used on certain projects, right? I can build a setup file for each project type that I work with and say, hey, if I get a mechanical job that's for a clinic, I need to load these families in. Well, what if I get one that's for a strip mall? We got to load these families in. And maybe, you know, we do one for an apartment building. Well, it needs these families, right? So you can pick and choose which settings get applied to which projects. So this setup can be saved to be used at a later date so that you're not reinventing the wheel every single time you need to load content into a model. This tool is also great at updating projects with content, right? So in this case, I set it up for a new load. Well, what if we had a current document set? So I'm gonna restart this because I don't want to break anything here. Current document, right? So we have the ability to reload families from the network into the project, all that are already there, right? So for example, if I needed my details, I made a bunch of updates to my detail items. Let's get those back in. I can select all of those and hit reload, right? If the content is always being loaded from the network, right, on the R drive or whatever, the pathing, it'll understand where those files came from and can reload them, right? If you're ever interested to find out where people are loading content from, you can use report paths to see if content's being loaded from the network like it's supposed to, or if it's coming from someone's C drive or D drive or a jump stick or from their downloads folder, right? So we have the ability to report back that data, find out if if our teams are using the right content, and then make sure that we can help them reload updates to the right content. All right. That concludes all of the apps that I was going to cover today. Finally, how do we get our hands on these apps? Well, everything that I've showed you today is a free tool, comes with one of the 3 suites that we talked about. So if you go to our homepage, ctcsoftware.com, go to our products, drop down here, the BIM Project Suite, the BIM Manager Suite, and the BIM Batch Suite are all listed here. You can click any one of those links and get a trial, right? Each one has a trial. It's good for 14 days so that you can try everything. However, those free ones, those lighter colored tools, those are good until you uninstall the suite. So if you want to you take advantage of that, continue to benefit from them as long as you want. And our tools are good for the current version of Revit 2022 and 3 versions prior to it. So our tools are available now from 2019 to 2022 Revit, and it should say so there on our website as well. All right, that concludes everything. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. I will leave it open for a few extra minutes to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to ask if you choose. If you don't have any questions, feel free to take off. I appreciate you guys joining today and giving me your attention during your valuable lunch hour. And we'll say thank you. Hope everyone has a wonderful week and happy holidays since we're in that time of year. Take care, everybody.